All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist for the evening, Cloud Hudson, and I will be bringing you all of tonight's top 5 stories. The main story: Hurricane Helene is now an official major hurricane at a Category 4, making imminent landfall in Florida. As you can see here on the radar image I've got on screen, we are just hours away from this rapidly moving hurricane making landfall in the Big Bend area of Florida, the Nature Coast, the area near Apalachicola and Tallahassee. Here in the Western North Carolina mountains, where I am broadcasting live to you from, we have had some significant flooding. Rivers are reaching mild, moderate, and major flood stages. So let's go ahead and take a look at what our river gauges are looking like. We have, all right. So today, earlier, where was it? We were definitely at 11.5 feet earlier. Yeah, flood warning and tropical storm warning in effect. Okay, so earlier today, during the peak of the flooding on the 26th at the Swannanoa at Biltmore, we also have gone back down to about 7.5 feet. But we are predicted to get up well over major flood stage, predicted to get over the record. Our record flood stage is 20.7 feet, and we are forecast to get to 21 feet. So all in all, this is an incredible flood right here. As you can see, we are still dealing with a lot of moisture coming up and interacting with this low pressure region, this upper level trough that has come over the Ohio River and Mississippi River valleys here, and spun a lot of the outflow, the upper level outflow from Helene into what would normally have been just a regular summer afternoon rainmaker, mid-latitude cyclone up here. This would have been just a regular front or low system sweeping through had it not gotten into this kind of yin-yang kind of formation here. Oh, sorry, I have high CPU usage. So sorry if I've got a little lag right here. Is anyone here? I hope got people here. Let me go ahead and let everyone know that I am live. Gonna do that in this tab. Go to me. I'm currently live. Channel. Currently live. Let's see. Share this. Copy. Put this on Facebook and Twitter. Okay. So, perfect. I have made a post on Facebook. I am about to, I guess, share it on. Yeah, let's get rid of this and go to X. Perfect. I can't currently cross stream or multi-stream right now because my Streamlabs subscription is lagged. I just got out of a little 2-month vacation from life. Had a 60-day stay in a residential treatment program. So I did not make any money, and that means that I do not have any subscription services right now. So this is kind of a terrible time to not have any subscriptions, but I'm going to make do with that. I'm doing the best I can. I'm being very resourceful. And I am going to turn on this TV here. I did figure out a way to get a big map up here behind me. So I'm going to be pointing out some stuff on this like I'm a regular old, real meteorologist with a map behind me. That's what makes you a meteorologist, having a map behind you. Do you like my hair? I definitely did wash it today because I did go out and play in the rain a little bit. And by play in the rain, I mean I unblocked the drains on the bridges leading up to my house. There was 2 bridges that I cleared the spillway. There was some pond. And if you're looking for a way to be proactive and you know what you're doing, maybe you're a post 10 watcher, avid post 10 fan, or you just like watching drain, I highly encourage you to go help out, make a difference in your local community by unblocking the drains. All right, that is not really white balanced very well. Hold on, let's see if I can. No, the ring light doesn't help. By the way, do you guys like my radar inspired makeup today? I think I match pretty well. I have, this is my Hurricane Helene look. Very thumbnail, very professional, I think. Very professional meteorologists wear crazy makeup like this. Okay, so let's go back into our analysis. Here, as Hurricane Helene approaches the Big Bend of Florida, we see a really well-defined eye wall forming. We see mid-level winds feeding back in from the northwest. That is kind of what you want if you want a healthy storm. It's band of dry and wet, dry and wet. Remember, this is like a car engine. You want there to be, if you want the continued health of a storm, you want there to be cold and warm parts of the storm laminated like a big cinnamon roll. Synonym roll? A synonym roll. You want it to look like a synonym roll. You want it to look like a cinnamon roll. That actually would be great. I wish I had cinnamon rolls to make in honor of the hurricane, but I don't. We did make hurricane soup today, and that was good. I only burned it once. Did you know you could burn soup? I did. I've done it many times. It's called having ADHD, all right? Sometimes you just make a stew and you forget you need to stir it. Sometimes you just go out while you made a soup and you go unblock the drains in your neighborhood and you come back in and you're like, how did I burn the soup? I totally thought it was just going to be fine. I do have some drain unblocking videos. Let me see if any of those want to pull up here. I have 2 different mouses. 2 different mouses. Let's see if I can. See if I can't get this going. Oh, yeah, I did get splashed by one person. Everyone who drove by was really nice except for this one truck who just drove straight through the puddle that I was trying to remove from the bridge. I wonder if he's got money invested in big bridge repair. Oh gosh, this is lagging so bad. Let's hello. Okay, there we go. I think I am going to make a YouTube video about unblocking this drain. So, and this is a very special episode of Today's Weather Tonight because I am mostly going to focus on Hurricane Helene. It's stunning how massive the rain impact has been. Let's take a look at some of the, where did I go to Tropical Tidbits? No, where did I go to the, to it on here. Pivotal weather. Our accumulated rainfall totals for 72 hours is well in the 6 to 8 inches range in Western North Carolina. Some areas we've already gotten up to 10 inches. I'm going to try to get our, let's go to getting it up on this screen where you can see it better. That's where I'm going. Okay. Observations, observed precipitation. Okay, this is our 6 hour. No, this is our 24-hour precipitation. Looking at pretty decent precipitation observations. But let's take into the fact that we've also had rain here off and on since Monday. I can show you some pretty pictures of a rainbow that I took on Monday. There was some awesome rainbow weather all week leading up to this. So that is not exactly what you want to see leading up to a storm, because that means we're going to have already thoroughly soaked ground. There was enough rainfall this past week and weekend and during the week leading up to Helene that when I went hiking last Saturday, there was already a bunch of mushrooms growing out of the ground in the forest. Like, you usually have good mushroom weather if there's lots of rainfall. It's like froggy weather or mushroom weather. Like, you'll see frogs and mushrooms a lot if you, okay. Let's go to, I wonder if this works. I wonder if the Schumann Resonance app works. Or if it's still got old data. I wonder if they're a registered user. Oh, hey, yes, I can give you the Schumann Resonance data. So remember how the Russian website has now made you register as a user? If you want to see their Schumann Resonance data, they now have on the Schumann Resonance app, we can see that on the 24th, we had really high Schumann resonances, followed by some vertical spikes on around midnight from the 24th to the 25th. 25th, we had a pretty strong spike in mode 1 and lower. And on the 26th, we've had some nominal, some pretty strong resonances as well. That being said, we can look at our, what do I want to put on in the background while we look at this? I'm going to look at our earthquakes real quick. Yeah, I'm going to put that on in the background. I don't know if it'll keep loading while I'm off the page, though. But here you can see on this IR satellite, infrared satellite brightness temperature, thanks to Tropical Tidbits, The eye wall is rapidly rotating. It's going really fast. This storm is picking up momentum itself because of how fast the center is rotating. There's a little, it's not necessarily the exact center of the storm where this little warm, dry spot is, but we are rotating around the center of the storm and everything is getting more vertically stacked correctly. The layer cake that is the eye of the storm is getting less leaning Tower of Pisa and more moving more in the vertical direction. That means that this is getting very tubular. It's like a little straw sucking up all the heat and moisture from the surface of the ocean and spitting it out in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And that is exactly why we have so much water vapor available at the upper levels to interact with the upper level low, the upper level trough that has been creating all this flooding in the Western North Carolina mountains. We are currently looking at a huge amount of rain about to wash through Asheville I-40 area again. We are under flash flood warnings, tropical storm warnings. There are local flood warnings and advisories. There's also a tornado watch here, a couple tornado watches going on. Let's look at our weather story. Highest risk of catastrophic life-threatening flash flooding reaches all the way from Toccoa, South Carolina, the border of Georgia and South Carolina, all the way up to Waynesville, Asheville, Madison County, just stopping right shy of Morganton right here. Heavy rain will continue through today, peaking tonight as Helene passes just to our west. Widespread flash flooding is expected with dangerous, life-threatening flash flooding possible near the Blue Ridge Escarpment. And I will explain what the Blue Ridge Escarpment is in a moment. And strong wind gusts of 45 to 60 miles per hour will cause numerous power outages tonight. So the Blue Ridge Escarpment is a term for the first line of the Blue Ridge Mountains as you approach the Appalachian Mountains from the south. Like if you are headed from South Carolina and you are going to, if you're headed from Greenville to Asheville, actually, let's say from here in Columbia, South Carolina to Asheville, North Carolina, you're going to go up and perpendicularly over the Blue Ridge Escarpment as you're coming up either 26 or 74. This is the ridge of mountains, the actual proper chain of Blue Ridge mountains, because each mountain chain and orogeny or mountain forming event has a different name for them. That's why there's the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Great Smoky Mountains, the Black Mountains. Those are all different waves of mountains that have been formed over billions of years of mountain forming events here. And I do mean billions of years. These mountains are over 4 billion years old. Some of the rock here is over billions of years old, older than trees. So that's a pretty cool thing. Let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. Okay, yeah, still nobody here. That's fine. I love talking to myself. Do you guys think I should get a social media manager? I do. I got a new roommate who's a social media influencer, and I'm thinking about trying to hire her, but I don't even have money for my Radar Omega subscription right now. So I'm dreaming big there. I would love to hire all of my friends to work for me and actually make this a real show. Let's keep moving on in my forecast. I've got a lot to talk about out of the GSP. Thank you to the NOAA, the National Weather Service, the National Water Prediction Service. Thank you to everybody who's made the maps that I am showing. Okay, here in Asheville, we've got 4 observed or in the GSP, Greenville Spartanburg National Weather Service office service area, we've got 4 gauges in major flood or moderate flood stage. Nobody in major flood stage right now, even though we are probably going to approach that as the storm gets here. Atlanta is also got many places in minor flood stage. We've got quite a bit of minor flood stage going on here, especially in Asheville. Here is what I'm talking about with the Blue Ridge Escarpment. That is this part, sometimes called the isothermal region. This right here is really the first ridge of mountains you're going to run into. This whole from the Chattahoochee National Forest up to this Green River game land area. This is the first big chunk of land that you come to. And the reason this is a significant feature in the orographic lift story is that usually rain comes from the northwest instead of the southwest or due south. And that means that over time, these mountains have kind of shaped themselves to be used to rain on the Tennessee side. We're used to rain on the Tennessee River Valley side. All of these mountains have been worn down on their western face so that they can handle all this rainfall a little bit better. The rain shadow effect has kind of caused enough runoff and natural infiltration of water that the terrain is more used to handling water. It's like how right at first when we had the flash flooding, there weren't any little creeks or rivers for the water to wash down. So all the water was just sheeting off. But now that we've had like a couple of days of consistent rain, there are tracts of rivers and minor creeks, rivulets in, for example, a gravel driveway where all the water can channel out. It makes these smoother curves. It slows and soaks the water. It concentrates the water over thousands and thousands of years to have natural paths to go through. It also is a more gradual elevation change. I don't know if you can notice that on this terrain map, but there's a little bit more of a gradual elevation change on the western side than on the eastern side. For here, for example, on the Cumberland Plateau, there is a very gradual change in elevation and then a steep drop in elevation right at the edge of this formation. Again, as you get closer to the Blue Ridge Mountains, all the western sides of the mountains are pretty gradually sloping, and the eastern sides are really sharp plummets, like right here, for example, near Highlands, North Carolina, and Cashers, and where is Southern Nantahala National Forest Range. Yeah, right here near the Copper Basin. You're seeing some of the more gradual sloping up here. Chiloe Mountain, we've got like on, is that how you say it? I don't know. On the western side, gradually sloping. Eastern side, really steep drop off. So why does that matter? As we get rain that is coming to this Blue Ridge Escarpment right here, it's approaching on that eastern side of the mountain that is a really steep lift, number one, and number two is not used to handling this much rainfall on it. It's used to being in the rain shadow. This is usually a little bit more deserted, not desert, but deserted as in once systems move through the mountains, they usually have petered out by this time, by the time they get to the Blue Ridge Escarpment. That means that the surface is not used to handling the water, so there aren't as many channels for it to naturally infiltrate. And two, it means that the orographic lift, or the lift of the mountains, I was just talking about orogeny events, the mountain forming events. That's the same root word, orographic lift, meaning lift from the mountains, lift from the terrain or the geology. It scoops up the air scoots up the mountain, and as it does that, it gets colder, condenses into clouds, and well, it's not just colder, it's also it's the equation of state, and cold, pressure, and humidity are all intermingled. But basically, adiabatic expansion and compression, that's what the orographic lift contributes to storm making. So anything that was just an air mass that wasn't really raining down here in Georgia or more coastal lowland South Carolina, once it gets to the Blue Ridge Escarpment, it gets some really steep orographic lift. It gets really rapidly lifted up the mountain, and all of a sudden it's like a fire hose of moisture is just coming down. It creates storms where it was just a mass of air moving through space, not precipitating before. So that is why you see all of a sudden in Asheville, you see this like triangle of the highest flood stage, the moderate flood stage. Let's take a look at one down here. Yeah, they are in moderate flood stage and are not going down here at the French Broad River at Ballantyne Station. Let's check out Mud Creek at North Main Street. They are starting to peter out, but they are solidly in moderate flood stage here. Currently under flash flood warning and tropical storm warning. And then the one that's closest to Asheville here in Fletcher, North Carolina, we are under a tropical storm warning and a flood warning. They are in the middle of moderate flood stage, and we are forecast to potentially break the record flood for the day. I believe it's the day for the record for the day. Record 20.1 feet. I think that's daily record, not all-time record. We are forecast to beat that record by 30 feet of flooding. That's 10 feet of record-setting flow. That is right here near Mud Creek. It's between Asheville and Mills River. That's between Arden and Hendersonville. And as you can see, to either side of this station, they're not in flood stage. That's because the French Broad River at Fletcher is the lowest lying area. This is where all of the mountains are draining into. So not only do we have the orographic lift creating more storms where it seemed like there wouldn't have been a storm before, you've also got places like up here in Wilson Creek. This is also a low-lying area where all the water that fell on these mountains are going to all concentrate into this one area of the river. They are also in a moderate flood stage, and we're probably forecast to break major flood stage as soon as we get the actual hurricane here. Let's remember that the actual hurricane is not here yet. This is pre-hurricane flooding. So I think that there's been more flooding in Western North Carolina than in Florida. I think we are about to pass that. Florida is about to start winning on the rainfall totals, but that is all because of this really interesting setup between this upper level low trough and the storm. Now, sometimes the interaction of upper level troughs can push a storm offshore, push it to the coast, but this trough didn't have enough strength of its own, enough momentum, or didn't come at the right angle with respect to the hurricane to kind of push it out of the way. Instead, it's fed into this loop. It's given this heat engine of a storm an exit path for all the moisture precipitation it creates. The hurricane is an engine, and this upper level moisture is the exhaust of the engine. The fuel is down at the surface. The fuel is the heat and moisture trapped in the ocean. The hurricane is a machine that turns ocean into storm, turns ocean into clouds. And those clouds go over the continental United States, encounter cooler air with more upper level vorticity and volatility, and turn into storm. Man, these are huge wind barbs too. And this is all upper level air. Remember, if you're tuning in for the first time to this show, red level winds sliding back into the storm. We are coming another counterclockwise rotation, which is keeping that low in place and flowing back into the storm, bringing that continental dried off post storm rain cooled air into the area where it sweeps over the Gulf of Mexico, which is, I always Freudian slip and call it the Gulf of Moisture, because it is a Gulf of Moisture. This is where we get all that moisture. It's feeding in clouds. It's feeding in drier air. You can see that it condenses as soon as it condenses into clouds as soon as this drier continental air mass moves across the ocean. But that is sustaining a nice dry slot. That is sustaining a nice input of lower level dry air for the storm to be able to work its magic and turn dry air into moist air. This is an engine that turns dry air into moist air as well. You can see even in the wake of the hurricane, there's still lots of flooding and storms going on in Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula, but nothing compared to what's going on with the storm right now. Let's look now at our current water vapor imagery. Oh my God, that eye is so strong. Let's see. That is a really well-defined eye wall with like, oh God, this band, this eye wall of precipitation is really getting into the heavy precipitation zone. We're looking really bad. It's not as strong as it could be, but it is very, very strong. Let's see how many warnings we're under. I think we're at something like 440, 450 warnings. We're definitely in flash flood warning again at this point in time in Western North Carolina. I don't need Microsoft weather. What am I doing here? I don't want that. Ooh, that's pretty. That's Jupiter. Okay, so the wind shear is really high right to the side of the storm, but right inside the storm, not a lot of wind shear. That's good for the health of the storm, bad for the health of Floridians. Precipitation forecasts, we're calling for, this is forecasts, okay? Not even precipitation that's already fallen plus more. This is forecast increase in precipitation. Some areas of North Carolina are still waiting on 15 more inches of rain. And I, for one, don't understand why people aren't, well, I guess I understand. I don't know why people aren't more, reactionary and broadcasting about the Southern Appalachian Mountains right now, because this is historic, unprecedented rainfall. Well, it's kind of unprecedented. 2004, we had a hurricane come through that flooded Biltmore Village. Also in 1916, we had 2 hurricanes back to back that flooded the area pretty well. So it's not completely unprecedented, but it certainly is historic. And, it's a 100-year flood type of situation. We've got a really well-defined, these are the storm reconnaissance missions into the storm. We're getting into the over 100-mile-an-hour winds there really clearly. These are, oh my God, look at this drop zone sounding. That is just steep. The lapse rate is vertical. I can't even, that these things are not supposed to be, okay, the green line and the red line are not supposed to be on top of each other like that unless you're just literally going through water. That's like what a lapse rate in an ocean, a very thermally stratified ocean would look like. God, that's a lot. Let's take a look. Oh God, look at that. Look at that storm. Would you just look at that eye wall? I bet this is gonna, another is making landfall at dark. Just like how tornadoes in the deep south are more deadly because they happen at nighttime more often. Landfall with a hurricane making landfall at night is a recipe for disaster. It's so much harder to find people, rescue people. If you didn't get out of Florida now, you're probably not going to. I know people say that all the time about Florida, but especially when it comes to this hurricane. I like looking at the bands, the tangential, not tangential, the bands coming out perpendicular to the edge of the storm, the little ripples that these massive waves cause. It looks really cool to me. I just love to see these rippling waves streaming out. It's a good showing. It's a good indicator of the direction of the prevailing winds at the level where the clouds are forming. If, like, you imagine perpendicular to these lines would be tangent to the storm. Look at how well defined and almost complete this eye wall circulation is. We're at well below, we're at between minus 80 and minus 90 degrees Celsius in temperature brightness. That is incredibly huge clouds. Let's look at true color. See if that can show us. Yeah, I mean, that is a nasty, nasty storm. And it is headed right for this area that has just been inundated with massive rainfall for days now. If we look at our RGB water vapor imagery, we're looking, okay, I don't know where all my viewers went, but maybe it's not as good. Work on my makeup while I listened to all the announcements, the morning announcements from everyone from Ron DeSantis to Fox Weather. I don't know why, but the low budget TV that I have here is really politically skewed in one way. I guess they only want Republican news for the people without money. Let's see. Oh, I haven't even talked about any other weather. Let's take a look at our earthquake 3D real quick. I'm going to make this bigger for a moment. Because we've got a 6.3 that happened here on the mid Indian Ocean ridge. I forget which plate. It's between the Indo-Australian plate and the African plate. A 6.3 at 10 kilometers depth happened today around 3:19 p.m. 1919 UTC time. So that was a big one. We also had a 5.1 out here on the East Argentinian Rise. That's a 5.1 at 10 kilometers depth. Again, 10 kilometers depth. 4.5 here in Peru, 4.4 and 4.2, 4.3 as we move down Chile. Here in between Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, we had a most recent earthquake was the 3.8 at 10 kilometers depth, along with a 3.0, two 3.0s and a 3.2 on Puerto Rico proper. Then we had a 4.7 here off the coast of Costa Rica, 5.0 here. Let's see where this 5.0 landed us. That would be right on the Guerrero coast of Mexico. And remember, the tropical storm artist formerly named John. I don't know if this is still remnants of John or if John is still a tropical storm, but it's still bearing Pacific coast of Mexico. 3.7s here in West Texas. That is, let me take these ring sizes down real quick so I can see where these go. 3.8 and 3.7. Let's see where one of these is. Toya, Texas. Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's, if you look at it on Google Maps, you're going to see that it is near a drill point. Also got 2.1 and 2.3 out here in Arkansas and Illinois. Many ones, many small earthquakes here. Let's take a look at the higher magnitude. Yeah, there was a 3.7 here at 1 kilometer depth in Olancha, California. That's between the Mojave Desert and the Sierra Nevada mountains. Then let's take these magnitudes back down. Say a smattering of 2s, a 3 out on the coast of the Juan de Fuca plate fracture zone, 3.9 up here on the near Vancouver Island and the border of US and Canada. 4.0 and a handful of mid-range 2s up in Alaska today. Let's take these back down so you can see the sheer number of smaller quakes that are always happening in these areas. 4.0 out here on the Aleutian Island chain at 25 kilometers depth. Oh, and a 5.5 and a 6.2 here on the northern island of Japan, just at the intersection point of Japan and these island chain right here. The 6.2 was at 60 kilometers depth, and the 5.5 was at 57 kilometers depth. 4.8 out near the Mariana Trench region, and a 4.8 on the diamond tip of it, as well as a 4.7 near the Philippines. We also had a 4.3 near Papua New Guinea and a 4.4 here in Indonesia. 4.6 and 4.3 as we move along the plate boundary into the Himalayas. That is pretty typical. All of this energy is shaking. We're seeing 6s mixed in with 4s and 5s with our upper level quakes today. That is not shocking considering we are about a week, 2 weeks out from big coronal mass ejection impacts on Earth. It's really deep. That's at 563. Moved that way to that way. We'll expect another 6, most likely somewhere else. Could be. I would say I don't know enough about forecasting earthquakes to say where the next 6 will be, but I'm sure somebody like Dutch or Earthmaster, somebody else would know how to forecast that. I could try to use Dutch's method, but I'm still over here predicting the weather instead of the earthquakes. So that is my little earthquake update. Let's go ahead and go back to talking about our... Oh, hello. How often do they push off to Tennessee like they're predicting? Not often. This is kind of a rare incident of the hurricane path. Let's take a look at, I want to see what's going to show my upper level pretty well. You see here, okay, so I've been talking the whole time about how there are two areas of rotation, two spinny boys, if you will. There's a spinny boy up here near Kentucky and a spinny boy down here near Florida. The spinny boy up here near Kentucky is what's been drawing off all the output moisture from the hurricane up towards the Appalachian Mountains and caused all the flooding so far. And that spinny boy is what is going to suck the hurricane over into Tennessee. That's why they've got such a drastic shift that direction. Let me see if actually I should look at upper level. Okay. Let's see if I can get this. So this is the trough that was supposed to come in and, maybe kick it out of the way. But really, this is acted as, at the upper level of the atmosphere, a draw for the storm rather than something to push it away, because the geometry lined up just right to make it look like kind of a yin yang, where what's feeding in and feeding out is creating some stretching. Anyway, this area, this right here, is what's going to suck the hurricane into the Tennessee area. So as we march forward, we see around the time that the hurricane marches through here, we've got a turn. You see this turn all of a sudden develop? It's right in these little images right here. That's when this upper level low and the hurricane, which is a surface to upper level low, get commingled, and they're kind of going to spin around each other like a swirling drain. Like if you see two bubbles in a drain that's flowing out, they're going to spin around each other in the vortex before eventually combining as they spin themselves out. What else can I use to illustrate this? Streamlines, upper level streamlines. Let's see. So as we click through here, this is all analysis. This is like what's actually happened. We see the hurricane come through, thread the needle between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, coming up. Coming up into Florida, and you still see the upper level low, this upper level counterclockwise rotation. This spinny boy right here, really focused quite interestingly enough on an area of Missouri called the New Madrid seismic zone. This is an area of southern Illinois, western Kentucky and Tennessee, and southeastern Missouri, northeastern Arkansas. That is it's like super active with earthquakes. You don't really get many earthquakes on the East Coast, but this is the earthquake zone. So very interesting magnetically and energetically as well. Very interesting that there is a low centered around this area drawing the hurricane there. But I do think it's going to happen, because look at this, the way that they circle in. So far, the output from this hurricane has flowed really nicely into as the input to this circulation system. And that's what's caused all this rain in the mountains. But as the hurricane makes landfall, that geometry, those angles are going to change. And you see here as these lines go from tilting towards the northeast to tilting towards the northwest, they go from pointing towards New York to pointing towards Oregon. Here, that is where we're really going to see the big swing. Right as the hurricane gets over the southern Appalachians, that's when we are forecast to get this westward turn. We're really going to see this spin out. And unfortunately, that does mean that there's going to be a lot of upper level wind. There's going to be a little jet streak. Starts to weaken. We're still going to be that just got hit by the hurricane. I think we're going to have some dreary weather for a while. And as you see, models have already indicated that there might be a second hurricane coming behind it. This is too far out for experts to be confident, and it isn't forecast to be as strong, nor is it forecast to take the exact same path, but it is forecast to make landfall in Florida right there, and possibly even spin off the coast a little bit. So the upper level trough is really what is dragging this in models over Tennessee. I think that's what I think that is going to happen. By the way, thank you for coming to my broadcast tonight. This is day 2 in my garage basement new setup thing. So haven't really gotten used to the new layout yet. I don't really know what the ideal setup is. Okay. Speaking of ideal setup, this is the ideal setup for massive flooding in western North Carolina. So here in Madison County, near Marshall, the town of Marshall is seeing lots of flooding already. This is what used to be the Marshall High School, which is now Art Studios. It's right next to the French Broad River there. It is very flooded. Also, oh, that's not what I wanted. I want to look at, I had it up. I had it up in a different tab. See if it gives me the, oh yeah. Okay. See if this gives me any good imagery. I thought this was the story that had it. Yeah. No. There's a lot of flooding going on in western North Carolina right now. I don't know if y'all watching are there, but I am, and it is evident. There's a lot of flooding. Let me go back to, I got this TV working. Oh gosh, I got to turn it on again. You keep letting it go idle. Let's see. I took some video of me clearing a bridge today. I was clearing the clogged drains on the bridge. Yeah, look at this. This is the river gauge of the Shenandoah River at the Biltmore area. Starting to see that increase in rain again. And this is probably going to jump up to record-breaking levels. Let's see. Are we anywhere near landfall yet? No. Let's see. I'm going to go to my Google Photos. You can see I've got this.
Okay, so we're coming up on the bridge over
video.
I was in the neighbor's backyards.
This is the, wait, let me see if you can see this with the white balance.
Got some sort of
you can kind of see it. This is the video I took on my flip phone today. This is the river. Let's see if this.
There is a drain.
Okay. Little tiny creek.
Just a little trickling creek.
As a rapids. This is the bridge that I cleared the drains on today, and it was ponding and flooding, and there was all this shit built up on the sides of the gutters of the bridge. But I decided that wasn't going to do because it was going to flood and wash out the entire bridge, and then we were going to be stuck here for weeks longer. So yeah, God, you can't really see it very well. Oh, there we go. That's what the creek looked like here near my house. This is my B-roll, my great B-roll. So that's the ponding on the bridge that I cleared up. There was like a few inches of water. There we go. You can kind of see the.
If I move some of this.
Let's see.
Thought it would feel really.
So I eventually cleared that up with a stick and by poking it around.
Not much.
Oh, can I go to the next one? No. Okay. Oh, well, let me go to the next one.
Should be riddle.
Okay. Let me show you. I did get it going.
Okay. And here
Pretty
we have
good.
The finished product.
Yeah, there's me having the drain cleared. I found the drain holes.
Some weeds and I found the real drain holes.
So,
yay, bridge is not flooded.
yeah, that's me doing my good deed for the day.
Look at that.
I cleared the drain. I had my little post-10 moment.
But I found these little drains. I tried finding more.
Yeah, all I did was pull the weeds out of the gutter, like the side of the road on the bridge, and it was able to drain out. But golly, it was a really rushing river. This I wanted to show you guys because there's a
the road right above it. We're not sure.
I have to get the camera like right up close.
Yeah, that is eroding all of the soil there. So it is possible that that gravel road will have a washout. Now it doesn't look too traversed, but that is on a small scale how a landslide happens, how the mountains break down. Just a really good example right there. Okay, just stopped here a moment to show you.
Right, and that I did a lot more other work on the drainage situation in my neighborhood. You too can also do this. This is.
It's got splashed by asphalt in a red truck.
Oh yeah, I only got everybody I passed was really nice except for this one truck splashed me. So that's how bad it was flooding. And I cleared it all. That's, God, that river is just so, it's not quite as bad right now, but it was getting up like right next to my neighbor's house. Like the neighbor across the street, the one closer to the creek, it was almost to their basement. I think you can see, that's like not supposed to be, that's not supposed to be a river. That's supposed to be a little creek. Let me see. I think at the end of this one, I get it going good. Okay.
Got a little dick in the way.
Okay, that's the crack I was trying to drain the whole puddle out of at first. And I did get that going a little better. I just used sticks and twigs to clear out the crack. And then I got the flow going pretty well.
It's moving.
Here, I'll show it in a sec. Okay, show it in this one. Yeah. Some decently flowing water. Maybe it's in the next video. Yeah, here we go.
Okay,
Here's where I show the flow of it.
Pretty well, like an inch vertically. It's flowing.
Look at that.
Look at that healthy stream, boy.
Big stream.
The water is rushing.
Bridge is pissing.
I think this bridge will clear itself soon. So, good news. We're not going to flood the bridge right now unless the creek gets all the way up here. So, yay!
Look at that shit.
Saved. We did it. All in a day's work.
I did that.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. I think the ponding is already going down, so. Yay!
Cool shit.
Healthy flow.
Cool shit. I love this shit. Okay. What was I looking at here? Oh. Yeah, this is the current rainfall in a how long 72-hour precipitation analysis. We're looking at over 10 inches of rain here already, and that's not what's forecast. That's what's already fallen in some parts of Western North Carolina. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is and this one right over here, I think. So these are three really tall peaks right here, three of the tallest peaks in the eastern half of the United States. And you can see inspired look. Oh, where'd I go? There I am. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back and check on the rest of tracking the tropics. This is the most ADHD weather stream there is. And so if you like that, you're in the right place, you know? Shear tendency very high over Tennessee. Let's see. What else do I want to look at? Here's our analysis for the Gulf of Mexico. Surface analysis. This is stuff that meteorologists or AKA nerds do by hand. Let's see. God, the QPF totals, that's the quantitative precipitation forecast, are just ginormous. Just massive amounts of rain are expected. And let's refresh this, see if we're any closer to landfall. We're pretty close to landfall, guys. We are getting the inner core of the eye wall band making landfall here in Florida, right in the Big Bend area. We got this nice little dry slot on the backside of the eye. I don't see much eye wall contraction that makes the storm go faster, but it's here. And remember that the bulk of this rain is here in these really tight bands, and way ahead of it. Here's our 3-day loop, expecting a lot of rain still. Once the eye of the hurricane passes over us, we're still expected to get a lot of post-Helene tropical cyclone related water. This will be an occluded front there. Let's see. What else can we look at? East Coast radar still showing an incredible amount of rainfall. It doesn't seem like this should be life-threatening flooding, but it is when you have such saturated ground. The water just doesn't have anywhere to go, and it all flows to the same place, which is down. Current water vapor imagery shows that we are just moments away from landfall, official landfall. And yes, this is our most updated, cone of probable path of the storm center. It's not the size of the storm, but we're pretty sure it's the center of the storm is going to sweep up into Tennessee and Kentucky, where it will peter out into a tropical depression. Power outages widespread from Tallahassee to Albany. Hurricane Helene, hurricane warning all the way up to Atlanta, from Tallahassee to Atlanta. We're just so close to this making landfall. It's just about to make landfall right here. And it's a little further east than a lot of people expected. Really beautiful swirling on this too. Really well laminated areas of dry and moist, hot and cold. A well-developed hurricane. This is going to be a textbook example for years. I'm certain of it. It's doing a really interesting thing with the eye too. Swirling around, maintaining that inflow area the whole time. God, this is a really, really well-developed hurricane. And a really classic, great example of when a hurricane can create an event that's just like an atmospheric river. The last time that the Southern Appalachians saw flooding and rainfall like this was an atmospheric river event back in May and June of 2018. There was a huge, like months long onslaught of rain from the southwest. A atmospheric river was just pumping moisture from the Gulf into the Appalachians at that angle of attack that we talked about earlier, being more life-threatening due to landslides. Watches and warning. We're looking at so much flooding. Let's see. Arrival of tropical storm force winds. We're looking at Friday at 8 a.m. for between 2 a.m. and Friday at 8 a.m. We're looking at tropical storm force winds for Western North Carolina. We're already feeling tropical storm force winds in Florida, Southern Georgia. Just because you are not getting the center of the storm doesn't mean you won't get it. Let's see. This has been the path of the storm, really snaking its way through the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico to go exactly where the hottest water is and not get slowed down by making any landfall too early. This is when it was a tropical storm, not a tropical storm, an invest area or tropical depression. This was a tropical cyclone. Then we officially made it into Cat 1 yesterday and briefly stopped at Cat 2 and 3 today and are already at a Cat 4 at landfall. Again, we are moments away from landfall. The European model is pretty confident that we are going to float off to the east, do a little loop-de-loop, and then come out in the northeast. A lot of model guidance is suggesting that. Let's see. there's already so much. Let's take a look at this long form imagery, this long microwave imagery of the development of the entire storm. You can really see the spiral bands developing themselves and like cooking themselves. They're working themselves up into a frenzy, and you see they're undergoing rapid development here. Really, at nighttime, this has undergone two different stages of rapid development. It's also picking up speed as it gets closer to Florida. You see there, according to microwave satellite imagery, the eye contracted right there. You see the eye trying to develop right here. Then we're starting to see a more definite eye. And right there, we've got a definite eye that's shaped in an S shape. Then we contract into a smaller circle. And when we contract into a smaller circle, we pick up steam. And as we're headed towards landfall, it is expanding again. So slowing down, which don't really want it to slow down as it makes landfall, because that means more chance for longer periods of storm surge and rainfall. Longer time over water picks up more ocean water. And remember, unfortunately, we do have storms out here developing. We have areas of investigation out here in the main development region in the Atlantic, as well as in the Central American Gyre region. Hurricane or Tropical Storm Isaac is also out here being a little fish storm. So usually it's the H or the I named storms that are the biggest ones of the season, the ones most likely to get retired because they were so damaging. And today it's the H storm. This year it's our H storm. This is also our sea surface temperatures around the storm, which is one of the main contributing factors to how powerful the storm is. There's just a lot of available fuel for the hurricane. Hurricanes eat hot water and spit out cold water. How simple can I make the analysis? A hurricane is a machine that eats ocean and spits out floods and tornadoes and spinny boys. Turns ocean into spin. That's how it works. That is actually how the atmosphere works. Look at that loop. I mean, it's just like very beautifully. You've got the dry slots showing themselves in interesting orientations there. Coming up. We're coming up on landfall any minute now. And this looks nasty. Look how well developed that eye wall looks right after dark. As soon as we are after dark and the sun isn't here cooking up the clouds on the surface, the storm is organizing itself really well. You saw that like big burst of convection right around sunset, that big burst of convection. Now we have a really well-defined eye as we're heading into a nighttime landfall. Let's see where our river gauge is at. We are headed back up. So the rainfall has picked back up in the mountains of Western North Carolina. Let's see, is anybody in? No, we have 4 in moderate flood stage right now. We have, let's see, 4 gauges in moderate flood stage. We've got 30 in minor flood stage, 42 in action stage. And oh man, we have a major flood stage here in Atlanta, right in the heart of Atlanta. This is the North Fork Peachtree Creek at Buford Highway in Atlanta. And this is inside the belt. This is near, what's this near? North Druid Hills, I-85 coming into Atlanta. And it's inside of the 285 loop. It's well inside of the 285 loop. It's near where 85 intersects with Highway 24 and Highway 13, Shady Valley Park, Kittredge Park, Executive Park Drive, so probably a office park over there. So yeah, this northeastern area of Atlanta, we are in a major flood stage. So shit, Atlanta and Asheville, we are really getting the brunt of it. Because if you look at the river gauges down here in Florida, doesn't even look that bad. Atlanta and the mountains, though, looking nasty. And gonna continue to be nasty for a while. Let's see. We can see all the wind barbs very clearly spinning around. Helene definitely going to track into Tennessee at this point. It looks like the upper level low is going to suck it in. Intensity guidance does not have us getting stronger. Thankfully, we are forecast to only stay at a Cat 4 for just a little bit of time. And once we make landfall, it'll drop back down in intensity. Thank God. And you should thank God every day for being alive, especially days like this. Okay. Do you think I'm being sarcastic right now? Because I'm not. You should thank God for being alive every single day. Okay. Look at that beautiful, beautiful spiral. It looks, to me, all I can see is a yin yang. This beautiful spiral of the upper level low above the New Madrid seismic zone and the very yin energy of this storm and the very yang energy of this masculine dry air. I'd say that counterclockwise rotation is yin, but I don't know. Apparently my uncle used to play this game with my dad where he would make him guess which things were yin and which things were yang. And he could never get it. And I hope Uncle Butch is screaming at me from the other side. Actually, this direction is yin. Maybe he'll tell me in my dreams. Come to me as an apparition and tell me what the right thing is. Current water vapor imagery. God, we're so close to landfall when it comes to water vapor imagery. But with the proper center of the storm, not exactly. Let's see. Take a look at windy.com. I haven't looked at that one in a while. Yeah, look at that. All this convergence right here. We're looking at, okay, 70 mile per hour winds, 70 plus mile per hour winds. What is the highest wind speed we've got here? 50, 70. That's just what they can graph on here, by the way. That is not actual. We got hurricane force winds on the other side of Florida too, barreling into Savannah. I'm sure that from Jacksonville to Savannah, you're going to see some storm surge as well. Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, you're not out of the woods either. Well, Wilmington, you're probably a little bit more fine. You've definitely got perpendicular onshore flow. But down here in Charleston, you're probably going to encounter some gnarly weather as we march forward in this, the development of this storm. Yeah, this is windy and this is null earth. Let's see who's got a better. Miles per hour. Oh, it won't let me zoom on that one. Oh, weird. I'd have to go to my own instance of null earth, I think. Anyway, damn. That's all I can say about this storm is damn. I think I am running out of words, though. Oh shit, Kaylee, hi. I'm sorry I missed you coming in. How are you doing? I don't have Twitch. I'm not broadcasting on Twitch anymore because I let my subscription to Streamlabs lapse. So I'm just going to be on YouTube. So I'm glad you found me here. Welcome back. I have been gone because I was at rehab getting dried out, and now it's time to get all soaking wet again. And by that, I don't mean drink. I mean it's time to get flooded, because that's what's going to happen where I live. By the way, I've got my nice radar inspired makeup going on here. I don't really know what the black lines are supposed to be. I just I wanted to do something that matched the radar colors today to draw in the viewers. How am I? I'm doing great. I am in a new location. I'm in a sober living house, so I do have to be okay. Thank you. I have to be respectful of everybody else's time and shit. So what was I saying? I have to make sure that I'm not like yelling about storms all night long. But it was kind of like that when I lived in my parents' basement anyway. So, oh yeah, that's the one I want to have up. Oh man, I wish this would stay loaded in the background. What have I missed? What have you missed? Yeah, I'm in a little basement garage area. This is my studio tour. I don't know if you guys have seen my computer yet, but this is my baby, my pride and joy. A beautiful, beautiful computer that I did not build. I had a small child make it for me. I didn't specify that it should be a small child, only that it should be a computer expert, and those are only small children, apparently. Child labor is good for something. Now, I do have my salt lamp right next to it because I have to. This is a TV that has a $10 sticker on it and is so fucking heavy, but it does have an HDMI port, so I'm able to point to things on the screen. Like, look, I'm pointing at the map. I'm using my finger to point at the map. It's great. So it's an upgrade of my studio for sure. I thank you so much. I appreciate your support so much. I really needed the time to get better. Not that I'm like cured, but I needed the time to set the intention to work on myself and get better. Get better than I was, not like better as in I'm fine now. I'm going to meetings and shit and trying to work on myself. But yeah, here I am in the new studio. Oh, can I do this? I gotta do it this way. Yeah, that's it. That's the shot that I found earlier that works. Thank you for laughing at my jokes. I'm obviously not into child labor. Okay. If you're just tuning in, oh my gosh, there's 4 people here. Welcome back. I am Cloud Hudson. I'm your comedian / meteorologist. I am precisely as crazy as I look, but I know what I'm talking about. When it comes to the weather, you do actually need to have a storm inside your brain to understand what the storms outside your brain are doing. And the reason that you don't think all meteorologists are crazy is because a certain type of crazy is normalized in civil society. And that type of crazy is being a weather weenie. Many weather people are just sick in the head, but some of them do it in a way that looks like a normal person. Okay, we are so close to Hurricane Helene making landfall. At least that's what I tell myself. I'm here in Western North Carolina, so I am going to be focusing on some of the stream flooding, the rivers flooding more than other broadcasts will. That is because I am biased towards seeing the impact of this southwesterly flow on the Appalachian Mountains. Fortunately, now that it is after dark, we do have a little bit of cloud thinning. Oh man, we're seeing this this upper level trough really peter out and get completely not zonal. The zonal component is going away. The side to side component is going away, and the up and down, north to south, or really south to north flow, meridional. The meridional component of this wind is really evening out, is straightening out. This yin yang shape is swirling around and hurling the hurricane towards us. So, good news is we've got a little bit of a break in the rainfall, not a break, but a little bit of a break in the orographic lift driven rainfall because there's less energy from the sun to add to the convection here. So as the rainfall cools the air, it's a lot harder to make more clouds. And it is cooling off here really rapidly. Here we are with a really well-developed category 4 major hurricane Helene barreling towards the Florida coast. What earthquake did we just get? Oh, we just got a 1.3 over here in Nevada. I think I'm going to take earthquake 3D down real quick so that I can save my CPU usage. Yeah. And then I'll get this up here. There we go. Yeah, I was about to sign off, but I don't want to sign off right before the hurricane makes landfall. Let's go to Helene-induced flooding. Let's check out some of this flooding in North Carolina. This is somewhere in North Carolina. Holy shit. It looks like a camping area, maybe. Parking lots, rivers. I can attest to the fact that there was a lot of flooding on the way home yesterday. There was flash flooding, and there was also just regular flooding. Flash floods and regular floods are different, but flood warnings issued for parts of England as well. Nothing else. Most of the Blue Ridge Parkway is closed. Okay, let's check out our space weather real quick so that I don't miss anything. Ooh, we've got a maximum X-ray flux of the past 2 hours was a C 5.36. So, on the 26th, we've got 19 to 25. We had 6 coronal mass ejections today. One of them was a type 2 partial halo. Whoa, look at that. Look at the flowering out of the petals here. Look at the pretty solar coronal mass ejections. I always think when coronal mass ejections happen, that's some sort of synchronous sign with the universe that you're doing something really aligned. Really well spread out, super fast, gorgeous coronal mass ejection there. And that was 10 seconds long. Let's see what that's meant for our space weather. Still have 3 beta gamma type sunspot groups our most recent solar flare was an M flare a few hours ago at an M 1.45. And we had one at M 1.3 yesterday. So, yeah, right around the UTC mark, we have been getting a one last push of an M-class flare. Let's see if we can get this coronal mass ejection on video. I will go back to Helene coverage in a second. I just want to make sure that I don't skip over what I usually go over on today's weather tonight, which is all forms of weather, including coronal mass ejections, solar weather, space weather. It's all part of it. Where's the big explosion? Hello? Maybe it hasn't updated yet. Maybe it doesn't go back far, or it hasn't come into date with the most recent ejection yet. Let's see if the date stops at the 25th or the 26th. Oh yeah, it stops like right before midnight on the 25th. So we're a little bit lagged on the Solar Dynamics Observatory imagery, but I bet that SOHO coronagraph imagery is going to show it. And this is also coincident with the Sun Cazimi, the Mercury Sun Cazimi. I mean, all Cazimis are with the sun. Duh. The Mercury Cazimi is upcoming and is within orb. I hope this has the coronal mass ejection on it. There's yesterday's big launch. I'm lagging so bad, I'm sorry. Once this loads, it'll be great. I'll let my other computer screen go black again. Whoops. There we go. Look at that. That's a big one. Man, that is a partial halo too. And that is as Mercury draws ever nearer. Speaking of Mercury, let's take a look at today's current planetary weather. Current planetary weather, we are just 3 degrees away from the Mercury Cazimi in Libra. That is making a sextile to the moon in Leo at 1 degree. So a perfect sextile between, an exact sextile between Mercury in Libra and the moon in Leo, and they have something in common here. These are both planets that just moved out of the sign that they rule. So the moon just moved out of Cancer, which it rules, and Mercury just moved out of Virgo, which it rules. So both of them are now on their new behavior after being in their happiest sign. We are still coming off of this little grand Earth trine, which is why I felt that Helene was going to be a big one. Right at the beginning end of the Earth and water signs, we almost have a grand sextile. We have a T-square setting up between Venus, the moon, and Pluto. Pluto in Capricorn, Venus in Scorpio, and the moon in Leo. And that's because it would be between the fixed signs, but this is just in that anaretic degree, that 29th degree of Capricorn. We've still got Uranus hanging out in Taurus at 26 degrees. We still have Jupiter in Gemini making a sextile to Chiron in Aries. And across from this Mercury Cazimi, we have Neptune in Pisces, giving us that oceanic influence, especially co-present with Saturn in Pisces. We're looking at the threats of the ocean, the depths of the ocean. This is really a great signature of, mutable wind mutable air being in its Jupiter expression, Earth being in its Uranus expression. This is changes in Earth, and this is changes in wind. And I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but when we last had an atmospheric river event in the southern Appalachian region, when we last had southwesterly airflow creating this orographic lift, this big flooding event in the Blue Ridge Escarpment area, that was right around the time that Uranus ingressed into Taurus. And I thought that was a really good indicator that Uranus and Taurus transit is going to be full of material changes to the physical Earth itself, because there were so many landslides. And I do anticipate many landslides with the arrival of this hurricane. That being said, Venus in Scorpio is also probably contributing to this, nasty mess. And Mars in Cancer, to me, says a heating up, a boiling, those hot sea surface temperatures. So that is my mundane astrology analysis of the astrometeorology of Hurricane Helene. Let's see if we are back to, oh my God, we're so close to landfall. We are so close to landfall right now. What if I sign off just before landfall? Would that work for you guys? I'm just so proud of my makeup. It looks very weird. I don't know what the goal was, but it was supposed to look like a hurricane, and I think it turned out well. The funny thing is, I got this palette in this eyeshadow palette while I was at treatment. Somebody left it behind as a gift to someone, and somebody else traded it to me. And then I got here to the sober living house, and there was another leftover of the exact same palette. So I get to double dip on some of the colors, and the colors I like are colors that people usually hate. I like the bright saturate colors. Nobody wants those except for me. God, look at this thing as the floater follows it into the Florida coast. I made soup earlier. I made rice earlier. I've got a lot of snacks, so I'm probably going to sign off and get some food and watch my favorite forecasters, YouTubers. But God, we are kissing the coastline right now. That radar loop it's right there. It's right there. This is a funny path that it takes. Very funny path that it's going to loop backwards around. Yeah. We're so close, guys. Any second now. Any second now. This seesaw of the upper level low and the hurricane is going to switch and start swinging the hurricane over. You can almost see a giant macro cyclone happening here. You have the movement to the west on the top and the movement to the east on the bottom. These two vortexes or vortices are creating one macro vortex where this is going to make one big swirling where these two are both turning and they're going to turn. It's a yin yang again. That's what it is. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you like them. I worked hard on some eye-catching makeup. Tried to make it look like the radar colors. And I can always get away with big makeup because I have these big colorful glasses, so it always matches. Thank you. And that is my mom. So, maybe it doesn't count, but I think it still counts because her opinion matters. She's an artist. I've been streaming for about an hour and 40 minutes now. We are moments away from making landfall here in what will be a historic hurricane, one for the record books. I think that this is going to be an amazing example of what a Central American gyre started hurricane can do. Look at all this convection that's starting off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula again, still feeding into the storm. I don't know if I've said it while you're here, but we are looking at the derived motion winds to illustrate the influence of this upper level low, this trough that has come down and is sucking the hurricane towards Tennessee. Once we make landfall, these two, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a spinny boy here and there's a spinny boy here over the Little Egypt area of southern Illinois, New Madrid seismic zone area of Missouri, that western Tennessee and Kentucky, Ohio River Valley region. Right above that, there is this counterclockwise motion that doesn't have a good fuel source, but has been the main driving factor in drawing all this precipitation up into the country from the hurricane, and the reason why we've had so much flooding prior to the hurricane making landfall. The hurricane is about to make landfall here and draw up into the area that's just been flooded. Does everybody have power? Everyone watching? I don't want you to waste your battery on me. I think my mom said they lost power for a while. I haven't lost power yet, knock on wood. But I really hope we don't. Every time I click away from this, it stops loading. What's that all about? But yeah, these two gyres to me look like a yin yang, and they're both, with respect to each other, making this shape where they're rotating in one big circle. So that is the seesaw effect that is about to swing the hurricane westward. Again, I want to remind everyone that we are in minor, moderate, and major flood stages at many river gauges in Atlanta and the Asheville area. I didn't get to go to the map. Where was my... I don't remember where my map went. Oh, let's go to... Sorry if you can hear the water. Look at this. We're forecast to get into major flood stage at many of these river gauge stations all over the Asheville area. The French Broad River at Asheville, currently in minor flood stage and increasing. Let's look at the next one. I think this is maybe Mills River. It's downstream. Oh no, this is Marshall is next, I think. Yeah, French Broad River near Marshall is the next stream. Downstream, because remember the French Broad River flows north. That is one of the only rivers in the world that flows north. That is because of something I mentioned earlier in the broadcast. These mountains are billions of years old, and some of these rivers formed when there were different magnetic poles, when there was a different orientation, among other things, such as different mountain forming events and terrains. The record flood stage at this French Broad River near Marshall is 22 feet, and we are forecast to get to 19 feet. We already were in moderate flood stage earlier today. We're forecast to get to major flood stage. There is one gauge in a major flood stage right now, and that is in Atlanta. There are, okay, you have power. Yay. Okay, good. Let's see. Are we any closer to landfall yet? So close. Seems like it might want to sit and spin out here. Making landfall right there. Right in this little notch. I mean, it's closer to Tampa than people thought it would be. It's probably some nasty inflow in the Tampa Bay area. Storm surge is probably horrific there. Almost there. Let's look at water vapor. No. Look at RGB water vapor. Water vapor. Water vapor. Speaking of vapor, where's my vape? Frequently asked questions. Where's my vape? Where's my phone? All of the above. I don't know. Oh, I know exactly where it is. It's in my fanny pack. Where's my fanny pack? Another frequently asked question here in the life of Cloud Hudson. This is just a nicotine vape. Don't worry. Oh my gosh, this is a textbook. I've said that so many times tonight, but this is a textbook storm. This is just, it's a faux pas for meteorologists to mention how beautiful a storm is while it's still going on, because it's killing people. That's like saying a nuclear bomb is beautiful. I mean, it might make pretty clouds, but it's deadly. So you don't want to see it. You don't want to see a storm this healthy and well developed. But if you are a nerd like me, a weather weenie, then you know that this is an incredible storm. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten into a category 5, but the wind field is dying down, I think. Where can I see winds? Wind gusts. Let's look at upper level winds. Woo, buddy. Probably going to go into a lot of shear once we make landfall, so that's a good thing too. Lower level winds looking decent as well. Those mid-level winds, the 700 to 850 millibars, this is the area of really solid rainstorm clouds, wet, moist clouds. I love vaping in well-lit areas. It's so pretty. Yeah, that's one way to funnel for a meteorologist to funnel their love of fluid dynamics into a healthy visual obsession is just vaping a lot. That's better than encouraging storms to be good and big. By good, I mean bad. Very bad. Very bad storm. Look at PWatts. Let's take a look at our precipitable water. Precipitable water, we're up to 3 inches. That is ungodly amounts of water. And you see Tropical Storm John right here is decaying rapidly as a lot of the precipitable water makes it across the mountains in Mexico and Central America and gets sucked up into Helene. And it's really, I mean, these PWatts are making it up into the mountains and they are precipitating. Let me tell you, once this thing makes landfall, oh my God, that's when the real floods start. And we're already in major flood stages. Let's see. We are around the expected peak of hurricane season. And this is the time of year where we see these Gulf Stream hurricanes. Let's see. I don't know what else we can analyze right now. It's kind of hard without, I really wish I had Radar Omega right now. I don't have any of my subscription services currently because I have $2 total at all. Just in my bank account, in my car, change, purse, wallet. I have zero money, so I don't have any subscription services right now. But I'm grateful that I have food and housing. I was able to scrape together a little bit of food before I got here, and I miraculously have housing thanks to the support of my care team. So I'm racking up some debt, but I am housed and fed during this hurricane. So I'm extremely grateful. Let's go to Null Earth. I haven't looked at Null Earth on my own yet. Let's look at our currents. Waves. Ooh, look at those waves. Looking at wave heights. 87 miles per hour. Big waves. Currents are really fast too. And that is showing some of the direction of how the currents are flowing. God, really strong. Let's look at our temperatures. We have dropped off in temperature in the mountains a lot because of rain-cooled air and evaporative cooling. That is how you're cold when you get out of the shower, because the water that evaporates off your skin takes with it heat. I always imagined heat and a water droplet like driving in a little car, like at the end of Grease. Where they fly into the sky at the end of Grease. Why did they do that? I imagine water and heat driving off your skin. Water takes the heat with it. When it evaporates, it takes the heat with it and cools off the area. So we're looking at we're in the 60s here, where we started. We were in the 80s to 90s earlier in the week. Relative humidities are damn near 90. They're damn near 100%, 99%. Again, I can't stress enough how much the impacts of this hurricane have been felt more in the Southern Appalachians than in the Apalachicola region so far. Dew points are also pretty pretty high in the more southern areas, and they're pretty low up here in the mountains. So that means everything is condensing into clouds really fast. Let's look at our CAPE. Not much CAPE. 3-hour precipitation accumulation. We are looking at up to 2 inches, 2 inches of rain in an hour. Yesterday in the flash flooding in the Southern Appalachians, we got like 5 to 6 inches in the first hour of it. Precipitable water, we're looking at huge amounts of kilograms of water per meter squared. Total cloud water is also really high. Mean sea level pressure really low in this storm. We're looking at around 960 hectopascals. I think we did dip into the 950 millibars for a second. Wind power density really high. And let's go back to wind. At the surface level, mid levels, upper levels, this is where we are getting into seeing that upper level low here, pulling this way. These two things are going to swirl around each other like a flushing drain. As we get out into the stratosphere, it's not quite as evident. But around the 250 level, it's really clear that this is trying to suck the hurricane over into the central United States. Yeah. Wish I had radar omega right now. I could show you guys so much more. But we're making it. Man. Okay. All right. I mean, the eye is making landfall right now. We're actively getting eye wall on land at the moment. So time of arrival around 10:40 p.m. God, look how beautiful that is. And by beautiful, I mean terrifying. We're getting more waves. We're starting to get our initial bands of precipitation associated with the hurricane itself, making its way through Atlanta and the lowlands of South Carolina. Once this meets the Blue Ridge Escarpment here, we're going to see more orographic lift contributing to more rain and precipitation in the Great Smoky Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains, Black Mountains, all of these southern Appalachian mountain ranges right here. I don't know why people haven't talked about the sheer massive amount of water that's been dumped up here. I think they will eventually, but I went out and took some video today of the creeks that were flooding, and they looked like White Rider Rapids, you know? It's ridiculous. It's just such a healthy hurricane headed right for where we thought it would. And something I heard a meteorologist saying earlier was like, it's shocking how predictable this one has been. It is shocking how close to the models this hurricane development has been. It's been on the higher side of the expected models, but there were models that predicted it would get up to a Cat 4. There were models that predicted it would make landfall right here. And so I think that we can trust that the models are correct when they say that this is going to make landfall and curve up towards Tennessee. Looks like it's headed straight for Atlanta, honestly. It's going to head like straight for Atlanta and then maybe Cherokee, North Carolina, and then head on over to like the Cumberland Mountain Range in Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia area. And then it's just going to spin out in the area where this gyre is, this upper level low is. You can see that it's an upper level low on this water vapor satellite imagery because that's where you see the red. That's where you see the high deep clouds. Green is moist upper levels and blue is moist low to mid levels. Where there's white, that means that we have all three types, meaning that we have moisture at every level. And black is dry at every level. True color. Oh, let's look at it in the Dvorak technique. This is a type of shading that we only do for infrared satellite imagery that is of a hurricane or tropical cyclone or something. This is incredible. That is a really healthy storm. It doesn't have a complete full eye wall on the northeastern quadrant right now, but I think that is because so much of the outflow is getting sucked out. I don't think we are going to see another eye wall replacement cycle because we're actively making landfall right now. So this will just deteriorate from here. But this is kind of the peak. This is the climax of the development of the storm. This is going to be one that we study for a long time. Just like Idalia was last time. Oh, and we've got another little center of convection headed here, growing up here. Beautiful, beautiful, terrible, but beautiful. Really decaying as we make landfall, but this is still convecting like a motherfucker. Like, look at all the outward flow at the top of this. And these really, really high clouds, these deep clouds can produce a lot of precipitation, hail, tornadoes. The storm surge is going to be incredible with this. The northwest quadrant almost gets an offshore storm surge, but here where we're making landfall, that's pushing all the water onto land. Once the eye gets through there, it'll be better. But then in the southeast quadrant, as the storm approaches, this is probably getting the most storm surge, that like 15 to 20 feet of storm surge, the unsurvivable storm surge they talk about. That's probably where that is happening right now. Okay. Well, I've been live for 2 hours with no performance enhancing drugs. So I am getting pretty tired and pretty hungry. So I do have to go now. I think I also technically have to do some chores that I might be late on. But they're due at 10 p.m. So I got to go do them because it's after 10 p.m. But I really don't want to leave you guys because this is just the peak of everything. But we are making landfall right now, and this is probably the worst the hurricane is going to get. I may pop back on here later tonight or tomorrow from whatever device I can to show you some of the flooding in the mountain regions. If you guys would like to contribute to the fund of me getting multi-platform streaming back or getting Radar Omega subscription back, I have my Venmo linked in the YouTube description, but don't donate unless you are able to. But also look up Mutual Aid Disaster Relief and donate some money to them too, because there are a lot of places that are going to be rescuing people and bringing food and house repair supplies to people in need. So I want to make sure that I am emphasizing, please don't give to me instead of people who need it. I might need it, but I'll let you know when I do. Right now, all I need it for is my subscriptions. Maybe to buy food too. That would be nice. But I think I'll get food stamps here in a minute eventually. Okay. It's so hard to go. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Adieu, adieu to you and you and you. I love you all very much. This has been another exciting, riveting episode of Today's Weather Tonight. I will be back with you tomorrow at the very latest, but possibly earlier. Please keep an eye on yourself, your loved ones. Keep an eye on the storm. And for Today's Weather Tonight, I've been Cloud Hudson. Have a great evening. Bye.